Beyond the battlefields, a deeper look at the American Revolution. The American Revolution. We think of brave soldiers, muskets firing, and the birth of a nation, but the story goes deeper. It's about ideas that shook the world. It's about ordinary people demanding change. This wasn't just about winning a war. It was about building a new society, one based on radical principles: equality, liberty, self-governance. These were more than words. They were the foundations of a new nation. The American Revolution was a messy, complex affair. It was full of debate, disagreement, and compromise. But from this chaos, something remarkable emerged: a government by the people, for the people. This is the story of that revolution, the ideas, the struggles, and the enduring legacy that continues to shape the world today. The power of ideas, the Declaration of Independence. In 1776, a group of men gathered in Philadelphia to sign a document. This document, the Declaration of Independence, was a shot heard around the world. It declared that the American colonies were no longer subject to British rule. But it was more than just a declaration of independence. It was a declaration of principles. It proclaimed that all men are created equal, endowed with certain unalienable rights. These rights, the Declaration argued, could not be taken away by any government. The Declaration of Independence was a revolutionary document. It challenged the very foundations of government. It said that power comes from the people, not from kings or emperors, and it inspired people around the world to fight for their own freedom and equality. Enlightenment's flame Locke, Rousseau, and the shaping of a nation. The Enlightenment was a period of profound intellectual and philosophical development that ignited the minds of many great thinkers. The ideas in the Declaration of Independence didn't come out of thin air. They were deeply rooted in the Enlightenment principles that had been evolving over centuries. They were the product of centuries of thought and debate. Philosophers and scholars had long been discussing the nature of government, society, and human rights. The Founding Fathers were influenced by Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. These philosophers provided the intellectual foundation for the revolutionary ideas that would shape a new nation. Locke argued that all men are born with natural rights, including the right to life, liberty, and property. These rights were seen as inherent and inalienable. These rights, he said, could not be taken away by any government. This was a radical idea at the time, challenging the absolute power of monarchs and tyrants. Rousseau, on the other hand, emphasized the importance of the social contract. He believed that society is based on an agreement between the rulers and the ruled. He argued that government is a contract between the rulers and the ruled. This contract was meant to ensure that the government would serve the people, not the other way around. If the rulers break the contract, the people have the right to overthrow them. This idea empowered people to demand accountability and justice from their leaders. The Founding Fathers took these ideas to heart. They meticulously incorporated these Enlightenment principles into the founding documents of the United States. They believed that government should be based on the consent of the governed. This was a revolutionary concept that laid the groundwork for modern democracy, and they were willing to fight and die for this belief. The American Revolution was not just a war for independence, but a battle for the very principles of freedom and equality. A people's movement, social change, and the spirit of revolution. The American Revolution was a defining moment in history, not just for its political ramifications, but for the profound social changes it set in motion. The American Revolution wasn't just about politics, it was a catalyst for a broader transformation that touched every aspect of society. It was about social change. The revolution ignited a spirit of democracy and equality that resonated through the colonies. It unleashed a wave of democratic energy that transformed American society. Public speeches and rallies became the norm, as people from all walks of life engaged in the fight for their rights. Women, though not granted full equality, played a crucial role in the revolution. They boycotted British goods, sewed uniforms, and managed households in the absence of men, and even fought on the front lines. Their contributions were vital, and their courage set the stage for future movements for women's rights. The revolution also sparked a debate about slavery. The ideals of liberty and equality made it impossible to ignore the contradiction of slavery. Many colonists, inspired by the ideals of liberty and equality, began to question the morality of slavery. This led to the early seeds of the abolitionist movement, which would grow in the years to come. religious freedom also took a giant leap forward. The revolution encouraged a new way of thinking about faith and governance. The fight for liberty wasn't just about politics, it was about the freedom to worship as you please. This was a radical idea at the time, challenging centuries of state-imposed religion. This principle, enshrined in the Constitution, guaranteed the separation of church and state. It laid the foundation for a society where individuals could freely practice their faith. This was a radical departure from the old world and a cornerstone of the new nation. The promise of religious freedom attracted settlers from diverse backgrounds, enriching the cultural fabric of America. The American Revolution, in essence, was a people's movement. It was driven by the collective will of individuals seeking a better future. It was a movement for freedom, equality, and self-governance. The Declaration of Independence became a symbol of these ideals, inspiring countless others, and it continues to inspire people around the world today. The spirit of the American Revolution lives on, reminding us of the power of collective action and the enduring quest for justice and equality. Section 5. The Constitution, Forging a Nation from Many Voices. Winning independence was one thing, but governing a new nation was another entirely. The Founding Fathers faced the daunting task of creating a government that would be both strong and free. The result was the United States Constitution, a document that has been called a miracle. The Constitution is a remarkable document. It created a system of government based on the separation of powers, with checks and balances to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. It also established a system of federalism, dividing power between the national government and the states. The drafting of the Constitution was a contentious process, marked by heated debates and compromises. But in the end, the Founding Fathers created a document that has stood the test of time. Section 6. Liberty and Legacy, the enduring impact of the American Revolution. The American Revolution had a profound impact on the world. It inspired revolutions in France, Haiti, and Latin America. It showed that it was possible to overthrow a monarchy and establish a government based on the consent of the governed. The revolution also had a lasting impact on American society. It enshrined the ideals of liberty, equality, and self-governance in the national consciousness. These ideals continue to inspire Americans today, as they strive to create a more perfect union. Section 7. Echoes of Revolution, from France to the world stage. The shot heard round the world wasn't just a sound, it was an idea. It was a spark that ignited the flames of change, a call to arms for those yearning for freedom and justice. The American Revolution's message of liberty, equality, and self-determination echoed across the globe, inspiring revolutions and reforms. It was a bold declaration that all men are created equal, endowed with unalienable rights. France, burdened by its own monarchy, watched as the Americans dared to dream of freedom. The French people, suffering under the weight of inequality and oppression, saw a glimmer of hope in the American struggle. The French Revolution, though a bloodier affair, drew heavily from the American example. The storming of the Bastille became a symbol of the people's power, a testament to their determination to overthrow tyranny. It too sought to overthrow tyranny and establish a government based on the will of the people. The cries for liberty, equality, and fraternity resonated through the streets of Paris and beyond. The impact wasn't limited to Europe. The revolutionary spirit spread like wildfire, crossing oceans and continents, touching the hearts of oppressed people everywhere. The Haitian Revolution, led by Toussaint Louverture, used the language of liberty to fight for independence from France. It was a monumental struggle that saw enslaved people rise up to claim their freedom. Across Latin America, revolutionaries like Simon Bolivar looked to the north, inspired by the example of a people who had thrown off the shackles of colonialism. They envisioned a future where their nations could also be free and sovereign. The American Revolution, in many ways, marked the beginning of a new era. It was a turning point in history, a moment when the ideals of democracy and human rights began to take root. It was the start of a long, often difficult, but ultimately unstoppable march toward greater freedom and self-determination around the world. The echoes of that revolution continue to inspire and challenge us to this day. Section 8. The Revolution Continues. A fight for equality, then and now. The American Revolution was a victory for freedom, but it was not a complete victory. Slavery, a stain on the nation's soul, continued for decades after the revolution. Women, though vital to the fight for independence, were denied basic rights. But the ideals of the revolution lived on. Abolitionists, inspired by the Declaration of Independence, fought tirelessly to end slavery. Women's rights activists, drawing on the language of equality, demanded the right to vote and participate fully in American society. Americans continue to strive to make the ideals of the revolution a reality for all. Section 9. Conclusion: the unfinished revolution. The American Revolution was a pivotal moment in history. It was a messy, complex, and often contradictory affair, but it was also a moment of great hope and promise. It showed that ordinary people could come together to achieve extraordinary things. The revolution is not over. The fight for liberty, equality, and self-governance continues today. It is a fight that is waged in courtrooms, in legislatures, and on the streets. It is a fight that is waged by ordinary people who believe in a better world. The American Revolution was a gift to the world. It was a gift of hope, a gift of inspiration, and a gift of possibility. It is up to each generation to carry the torch of liberty and keep the flame of revolution burning bright.